Welcome, class, to Lesson 5-6. Today, strong mathematicians can find perimeter and area of rectangles. So you got your notebook, your pencil, write down today's date and the lesson, and let's get started. So a couple of things you need to know, some more vocabulary words. Length. Length is the distance across the longer side of the rectangle. What helps me with length, I think of length, and I think of the longer side. So that L and L tell me thinks of the length. The width is the distance across the shorter side of a rectangle. So that would be the width. So length is important, width is important vocabulary words to know, and then a formula. What is a formula? It's an equation with letters or symbols that describes a rule. So we'll learn about the perimeter formula, we'll learn about the area formula, and we'll learn how to use those in today's lesson. So perimeter is the measure of the distance around the outside of a figure. So if we start right here, it's measuring from here to here. And then from this side to this side right here, and then from here to this side right here. So it's measuring the distance around the outside of a figure. The formula, which is very important you write down, is P equals, so this would be an L here, this would be a W, this would be an L, this would be a W, and you would add up all the lengths and widths of all four sides to get your perimeter. So that would be what the perimeter is of this one. So if we look at this right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be a 5 here. It's the same on the bottom side. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 here. So it would be, so P would equal in this one. So L would be 5 plus 4 plus 5 plus 4. So the perimeter would give us 18 units. Since I didn't have a label, we just know that a label has to be units. So that's for perimeter. So right now, let's take a look at the area and switch gears. So the area is the number of square units that covers the figure. So the area is what it's all about on the inside versus perimeter is all on the outside. So the area would be the length times the width. So if we notice that this was 5 again, and this was 4, so this would be area equals 5 times 4, which would equal 20 square units, because remember in area it's units squared from our multiplication unit. And if we count right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They're all there, but we multiply because it's a whole heck of a lot way faster, especially if we get some big areas. So right now you can write down those two definitions of perimeter. Also write down our drawing and our work to kind of see one right there all in one spot. The same thing with an area to show what area formula is, how to use it, how we found it. That can help you as we move through these two types of problems. So you're going to see a box right here. We're going to find out what is the perimeter of the box. So I think the perimeter is, I like to write the equation down. That's that relationship, that formula as we call it. So P equals L plus W plus L plus W. So I know that there is 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 right here. 1, 2, 3. This would be 3 right here. So then this would also be a 4, this would also be a 3 because it's a rectangle. We know those sides are equal. I have to add 4 plus 3 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7 again. So perimeter would be 14 units, since I don't have a measurement on it right now. And the area equation would then be area equals length times width. So I have a length of 4 and a width of 3. So therefore my area would equal 12 square units. And if I wanted to confirm that, I could count up the squares in the box to count to that there are 12 there. So notice that the perimeter and the area are different. Are there some situations where they will be the same? The answer is yes, but more often than not, they're usually different. So you can pause this right now, write down this example, write down the drawing, write down how we worked out our work to understand how to solve perimeter and area equations. So now we have a label. We have a thing. Now we don't have those squares anymore, but we have numbers that label the sides for us. So those same rules would apply, and those same formulas would apply. So P equals L plus W plus L plus W, which would mean we would have P equals 18 plus 9 plus 18 plus 9. I'm going to put those together. Well, I know these two equal 27, which means these two would equal 27. Which means if I add those together, 27 plus 27 would equal 54. Now I can't just put units because these have a label. It would be 54 feet. And we transition to our area. Area equals length times width. We know that the area equals 18 times 9, which means I'm going to do some multiplication work right here. 9 times 8 is 72, so 2 goes there, 7. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 7 is 16. So I would have 162 square feet for my label. So again, pause the video again, write down this example, just more examples to really practice how do we find perimeter, how do we find area, how the formulas are different, and how we use those formulas. So you need to rewatch this problem again as you're writing down this information to work your way through it to help you. That's a great strategy. So we have a word problem right now. The perimeter of a rectangle is 32 inches. One side of the rectangle has a length of 11 inches. What is the unknown side? Whew. I think I liked it better when there was a drawing, but we got this. We got this figured out, don't we? So our equation, right, we just got to write it down, our formula, P equals L plus W plus L plus W. And now you plug in what numbers do we have from our equation that we can plug in here. So the perimeter of the rectangle is 32. So I know 32 is on this side, so it has to equal, the other side has to also equal 32. And I know one side of the rectangle has a length of 11 inches. Well, that means that if this length is 11 inches, plus a W, plus another 11, because that same length is the same on the opposite side, and another W. So now when you take these two right now, let's make that next step. Let's put our like terms together. So we have 32 equals, I'm going to add my two 11s right here to get 22. I'm going to add my two W's, which we learned from chapter 4 we can add together, would give me plus 2 W's. So I still can't solve it. I can't figure out what does that W mean. Well, I'm going to get rid of 22, because the nice part about when you start learning more about algebra, whatever I do to one side, I can do the same thing to the other side, and that keeps the equation equal. So I'm going to subtract 22 from this side, and I'm going to subtract 22 from this side, which now gives me 10 equals, well, 22 minus 2 is 0, so I have to write that 0 plus 2W. So now I got to figure out that as we work on. I have 10 equals 2W. Equals 2W. Well, if I'm going to divide 2 out of 2 to get 1W by itself, I have to divide the same side by 2, which means W equals 5. So that was a long ways to go through a problem like that, but we can kind of go back here and see how we can draw this out to kind of help us out solve this one. So I'm going to leave it right here. So it would be 5. I got to make sure my label, I believe my label is inches. Yep, 5 inches would be my answer. So if I would draw this out right here in a box to kind of help us out visualize this. So I have a perimeter of 32. So P equals 32. And I have 11 on this side, 11 on this side. Well, now if I put my answer in just to check it, right? If I put 5 here and 5 here, well, this would be 16 from these two numbers when I add them together, and 16 from these two numbers when I add them together, which means 16 plus 16 is 32. So 5 would be the correct way to find a side. Now, finding said sides is a little bit different than finding just the overall perimeter. So this is working on finding one piece of the puzzle. So right now, I would recommend rewatching this segment of the video to really help you work through the process so you can understand how we got through all of this and to get to an answer of 5 inches. And another example of a word problem. So the area of a rectangle is 72 square inches. One side of the rectangle has a length of 9 inches. What is the unknown side? So we're going to read this problem again, which I forgot to do last time. Make sure you read it twice. So the area, so I know what formula I have to use, of a rectangle is 72 square inches. One side of the rectangle has a length of 9 inches. What is the unknown side? So I'm using the area formula here. Area equals length times width. So now I know that's my formula. Now I can plug in my numbers. So the area is 72 square inches. So area 72 on this side. It says one side of the length of 9 inches. So does it matter which one I choose? In multiplication, the answer is no, so it doesn't matter. 9 times W. So in order to solve that, I got to figure out what times 9 equals that, or I can divide 9 from here and 9 from this side. So if I do the same thing to each side of the equation, it keeps it the same. So that means 8 equals W. So, but I need a label because it's a word problem, so it would be 8 inches because we're just measuring a side and we're not measuring the area. So 8 inches, it always seems to be a tricky label when finding a side because everyone likes to put square inches because we're measuring area, but we're finding just the one side of an area, which would be 8 inches. So you can pause the video again, rewatch this segment of how we worked our way through a word problem that involves finding a side of an area. Here's also a square you can write down. We notice you'd have 72, it would be in the middle of it. You had 9 on one side and you had a question mark, or I'll put W on the other side, and that's how we were able to figure out that 8 was the number of that. So notice this would be inches here, inside is square inches, and this would also be measured in inches. So you can pause the video, rewatch the segment to help you out, and go from there. All right, so draw a big line right now of all this hard work to learn about it. It's now to put your work into practice. So right now, what is the perimeter of this drawing or this rectangle? What is the area of this rectangle? So you write down now and show your work. Here's another example. Once you find out what is the perimeter of this rectangle, what is the area? And a word problem said the perimeter of a rectangle is 60 millimeters. 3 of the sides have a length of 15 millimeters, 13 millimeters, and 15 millimeters. What is the unknown side? So once you see it, use the formula, show the information you put in there, and then go for it and solve it and label it. Good luck. And last but not least, the area of a rectangle is 84 square inches. One side of the rectangle has a length of 6 inches. What is the unknown side? So once again, you can pause the video. See if you can figure out what is the unknown side and label it correctly. Good luck. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to write them down or share them out. Also, if you have any strategies that you use to help you, make sure you share those as well. And thank you for another great lesson.